Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UNS Defiance, watching the stars bend and twist as the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. This was it. After 200 years of searching, humanity had finally found them. The aliens were real, and they were waiting just beyond Neptune's orbit. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said the communications officer, her hands shaking slightly as she worked the controls. "It's coming from that massive station ahead." Jake nodded, trying to keep his face calm even though his heart was racing. Through the viewport, he could see a structure that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. It looked like a small moon made of metal and light, hanging in the darkness of space. Hundreds of ships surrounded it, each one different from the next. Some were sleek and silver. Others looked like they'd been carved from stone, and a few seemed to pulse with organic light. "Put it on screen," Jake said. The view screen flickered to life, and Jake found himself face to face with something out of a nightmare. The creature was massive, even through the screen. Its head was reptilian, covered in dark green scales that seemed to absorb the light. Yellow eyes with vertical slits stared at him with something that looked like boredom. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rumbling, translated by the ship's computer into perfect English. "I am General Vorthrax of the Crithian Empire, military liaison to the Galactic Council. You are the humans, yes? The new species that just learned to break the light barrier?" The creature's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. How adorable. Jake felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm Commander Jake Morrison of the United Nations spacecraft Defiance. We come in peace, seeking friendship and trade with the galactic community." Vorthrax made a sound that the computer translated as laughter. "Peace, friendship, how very soft of you, human. But I suppose that's what we should expect from a species that still fights wars among themselves on their own planet." "We've moved past that," Jake said, even though it wasn't entirely true. Earth was more united than ever, but old tensions still existed. "We're ready to take our place among the stars, are you?" Vorthrax leaned forward, his massive form filling the screen. "Tell me, Commander, how many worlds has your species conquered? How many wars have you won against alien foes? What makes you think you're ready for a galaxy that has been at war for 10,000 years? Jake opened his mouth to respond, but Vorthrax wasn't finished. "The galaxy is not a kind place, human. Out here, strength is the only currency that matters. The strong survive, the weak serve, and the soft are forgotten. Your species is untested, unproven. For all we know, you might crumble at the first real challenge." "Then let us prove ourselves," Jake said, the words coming out before he could think them through. Vorthrax's eyes narrowed with interest. "Prove yourselves. And how would you do that, Commander? You tell me. What do we need to do to earn your respect?" The alien general sat back, his clawed hand tapping against the arm of his chair. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared at Jake with those cold yellow eyes. Then slowly that terrible smile returned. "There is a way," Vorthrax said. "In 3 of your months, the Grand War Games will be held on Arcturus Prime. Every species in the Council sends their finest warriors to compete. It is where we test our strength, where we prove our worth. If your species truly wishes to be taken seriously, you will send your warriors to face ours." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "War games? What kind of war games?" "The kind where warriors fight with real weapons and real consequences," Vorthrax said. "Oh, we have medical technology that can heal almost any wound, so death is rare. But pain is very real, Commander, as is defeat. Most species that compete have been bred for war for thousands of years. They have natural armor, enhanced strength, biological weapons. What do humans have?" "We have courage," Jake said quietly. "We have determination, and we have each other." Vorthrax laughed again, louder this time. "How poetic. Very well, human. Bring your warriors to Arcturus Prime. Show us what your species is made of. The Council will be watching. If you impress us, perhaps we'll consider your request for trade agreements. If you fail," he shrugged, a gesture that looked odd on his reptilian frame. "Well, at least you'll have tried." The transmission cut off, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. Around him, the bridge crew sat in stunned silence. "Sir," said Lieutenant Ben Carter, the tactical officer, "did we just agree to send our people into an alien fight club?" "I think we did," Jake said softly. He turned to face his crew. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command. They need to know about this." The next 3 weeks were chaos. News of the challenge spread across Earth like wildfire. Some people thought it was a trap. Others saw it as an opportunity. Politicians argued. Military leaders debated, and the public watched every development with a mixture of excitement and fear. In the end, it was the military who stepped forward. Specifically, it was Captain Lisa Hayes of the United States Marine Corps. Lisa had been following the situation closely from the moment the news broke. She was stationed at Camp Pendleton in California, commanding a rapid reaction force that specialized in high-risk operations. When the call went out for volunteers to represent Earth at the War Games, she didn't hesitate. She walked into her commanding officer's office and said 3 words, "I'll do it." Colonel Morrison, no relation to the commander in space, looked up from his desk with tired eyes. "Captain Hayes, do you understand what you're volunteering for? These aliens are serious. They've been fighting wars since before human civilization existed. Their warriors are bigger, stronger, and more experienced than anything we've ever faced." "I understand, sir," Lisa said. "But someone has to go. And if we don't send our best, we'll regret it forever." The colonel studied her for a long moment. Lisa Hayes was 32 years old, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. She stood at 5'8", fit and lean from years of training. More importantly, she had a reputation for bringing her people home alive, no matter how bad the situation got. "You can pick your team," the colonel finally said. 25 people, that's the limit the aliens set. "Choose carefully, Captain. The whole world will be watching." Lisa spent the next week selecting her team. She needed people who were skilled, yes, but also people who could think on their feet and work together under pressure. She chose Sergeant Danny Price, a former boxing champion who joined the Marines to challenge himself. She picked Corporal Amy Johnson, a sniper with reflexes so fast she seemed to see bullets in slow motion. She selected Ryan Cole for demolitions, a nervous young man with a talent for turning everyday objects into tactical advantages. One by one, she built her team. Not the biggest, not the strongest, but the smartest and most adaptable soldiers she could find. Each one she approached with the same question, "Are you willing to bleed for Earth?" And each one gave her the same answer, "Yes, ma'am." By the time the transport ship was ready to leave Earth, Lisa's team was as prepared as they could be. They'd trained together for 2 straight weeks, learning each other's movements, building trust. They knew it wouldn't be enough. The aliens had centuries of experience and biological advantages humans couldn't match, but they had something else. Something Lisa reminded them of every single day during training. "We're not going there to be the strongest," she told them on their last night on Earth. "We're going there to show them what humans can do when we work together. Every single one of you is responsible for the person next to you. We win together or we don't win at all. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am," they shouted back. The transport ship, the UNS Unity, was small compared to the alien vessels they'd seen near Neptune. But it was fast and it carried humanity's hopes with it. As Earth shrank behind them, Lisa stood at a viewport watching her home planet disappear into the darkness. "Nervous?" asked a voice behind her. It was Danny Price, the sergeant with the boxer's hands and the easy smile. "Terrified," Lisa admitted. "But that's good. Fear keeps you sharp. Think we have a chance?" Danny asked. Lisa turned to look at him. "I think we have something better than a chance. We have each other, and that's going to surprise them more than they know." The journey to Arcturus Prime took 3 weeks. During that time, the team trained constantly in the ship's small gymnasium. They ran drills, practiced tactics, and studied every piece of information they could find about the species they might face. The data wasn't encouraging. The Crithians were 7 feet tall on average, with natural armor plating and strength that could bend steel. The Thorian berserkers were even worse, bear-like creatures that could take a direct hit from a rocket and keep fighting. The Velkari were insectoid with acid blood and reflexes faster than human eyes could track. "We're going to get destroyed," Ryan muttered one night, staring at the data screens. "Maybe," Amy said, cleaning her rifle with practiced movements. "But we're going to make them work for it." Finally, after 3 weeks of travel, Arcturus Prime appeared before them. It was a planet covered in massive structures, each one a coliseum designed for combat. From orbit, Lisa could see hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all gathered for the games. The heat hit Lisa like a physical wall as she stepped off the ramp. Arcturus Prime had 2 suns, and both of them seemed to be beating down on the landing platform at the same time. Behind her, she heard Ryan curse quietly and Amy adjusting her cap to shield her eyes. The air smelled strange, like copper and something else she couldn't identify, but it wasn't the heat or the smell that made Lisa stop in her tracks. It was the sheer scale of everything around her. The landing platform was massive, easily the size of 10 football fields. And it was crowded. Dozens of alien species moved around them, some walking, some flying, some moving in ways that didn't make sense to human eyes. To her left, a group of beings that looked like walking crystals floated past, their bodies chiming softly with each movement. To her right, something that resembled a tiger mixed with an octopus stalked by, its multiple limbs moving in perfect coordination, and they were all staring at the humans. "Stay together," Lisa said quietly, and her team formed up around her without needing to be told twice. They moved as one unit across the platform, their boots making sharp sounds against the metal surface. A guide was waiting for them at the edge of the platform. She was humanoid, which was a relief, though her skin was pale blue and her eyes were completely black. She wore a simple white robe and held a datapad that glowed with alien symbols. "Welcome to Arcturus Prime," the guide said in perfect English. "I am Attendant Kira. I will show you to your quarters and explain the rules of the games. Please follow me." As they walked, Kira led them through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The walls were made of some kind of metal that shifted colors, and the ceiling was so high that Lisa couldn't see where it ended. Everywhere they went, aliens stopped to watch them pass. Some pointed, others made sounds that might have been laughter. "They think we're a joke," Danny muttered beside Lisa. "Let them," Lisa replied. "We'll change their minds soon enough." Kira led them to a large viewing area that overlooked the main arena. "The preliminary matches are currently underway," she explained. "You should observe. It will help you understand what you are facing." Lisa looked down into the arena and felt her stomach tighten. The space was enormous, easily a mile across. The floor was covered in different terrain types, from rocky outcroppings to pools of water to patches of thick forest. And in the center, two beings were fighting. One was a Crithian. She recognized the reptilian features from her briefings. The other looked like an insect the size of a car, with multiple legs and mandibles that dripped some kind of liquid. They moved fast, faster than should have been possible for creatures that size. The Crithian warrior grabbed the insect by one of its legs and threw it across the arena. The creature smashed into a boulder hard enough to crack it, but immediately got back up and charged. Its mandibles opened wide, and a stream of acid shot out toward the Crithian. The reptilian warrior raised a shield that seemed to appear from nowhere, and the acid splashed harmlessly against it. Then the Crithian charged. He moved like lightning, closing the distance in seconds. His clawed hand shot forward and grabbed the insect around its throat. There was a sickening crunch and the insect stopped moving. The crowd roared. Thousands of voices cheering in hundreds of languages. "The match is over when one fighter can no longer continue," Kira explained. "Medical teams will revive the injured fighter within minutes. Very few actually die in these games, but the pain is real and the defeat is permanent." Lisa watched as medical drones flew down to collect the fallen insect warrior. She looked at her team and saw the same thought reflected in all their eyes. They were outmatched. Badly. "How long have these species been doing this?" Ben asked, his voice quiet. "The war games are over 3,000 years old," Kira said. "Some species have been competing since the beginning. The Crithians have won the last 200 tournaments. They are considered the apex warriors of the galaxy." "Great," Ryan muttered. "No pressure." They spent the rest of the day watching matches. Lisa took mental notes on everything she saw. The aliens were strong, that was obvious. They were also fast, tough, and many of them had natural weapons that made human technology look primitive. But she noticed something else too. They all fought alone. Even in team matches, each warrior seemed to operate independently. They didn't coordinate, didn't cover each other, didn't work together in any meaningful way. It was all about individual glory, individual strength. That night, in their assigned quarters, Lisa gathered her team. "All right, let's be honest," she said. "We're not going to win any fights based on strength. That Crithian we saw today could probably take on 10 of us by himself. But I noticed something. Did any of you see those aliens working together?" Amy shook her head. "They fight like it's all about showing off. Every move is designed to look impressive." "Exactly," Lisa said. "That's our advantage. They've been doing this for thousands of years and they've never learned to truly work as a team. We have. So tomorrow when we go out for our training session, we're going to show them something they've never seen before." "You think that'll be enough?" Danny asked. "I think it's all we've got," Lisa replied. "So we'd better make it count." The next morning they were led to the public training grounds. It was another massive space with different areas set up for different types of training. Lisa could see Krithian warriors lifting weights that must have weighed several tons. Thorian berserkers were tearing apart metal dummies with their bare hands. The Velkari were practicing their acid attacks on reinforced targets, and all of them stopped to watch when the humans entered. Lisa ignored the stares. "Set up Alpha," she called out, and her team moved immediately. They formed into 2 groups, each one taking position on opposite sides of a training area. Danny led one group, Amy led the other. "Begin," Lisa shouted. What happened next would become famous across the galaxy, though Lisa didn't know it at the time. The 2 groups moved together with a precision that made it look like a dance. Danny's group advanced while Amy's group provided covering positions. Then they switched, Amy's group moving forward while Danny's team protected their flanks. They moved through the training area like water flowing around rocks, each person always aware of where the others were. Around them, the alien warriors had stopped their own training to watch. Lisa called out commands and the team responded instantly. "Suppressing fire positions," she yelled, and half the team dropped to cover while the other half aimed their training weapons. "Tactical retreat," she called, and the team moved backward in perfect formation, no one turning their back to the imaginary enemy. Then came the close combat drills. Danny paired up with Ryan, showing the demolitions expert how to cover his blind spots while setting up equipment. Amy worked with Ben, demonstrating how a sniper and a tactical officer could coordinate to control an entire battlefield. But it was the final drill that really caught everyone's attention. Lisa set up a scenario where one team member was injured in the middle of the training ground. "Ryan, you're down," she called. Ryan immediately dropped and went limp. Everyone else extract him. What the aliens saw next went against everything they understood about warfare. The team didn't leave Ryan behind. They didn't expect him to crawl back on his own. Instead, Danny and 2 others immediately moved to his position, covering him with their own bodies while Amy and her group provided covering fire. They picked Ryan up and carried him back, never once leaving him exposed. The entire extraction took less than 30 seconds. It was smooth, efficient, and absolutely foreign to every species watching. A murmur ran through the crowd of alien warriors. It grew louder, spreading like a wave. Lisa looked around and saw hundreds of beings watching them now. Some looked confused, others looked fascinated. A few looked concerned. Near the edge of the training ground, she spotted General Vorthrax. The massive Krithian was standing perfectly still, his yellow eyes fixed on the human team. He wasn't laughing anymore. Next to him stood another alien, this one old and gray with forearms and robes that marked him as someone important. Lisa would later learn this was historian Zenmark, the galaxy's foremost expert on military tactics and warfare. "Kira," Lisa called to their guide. "Is there a problem?" The blue-skinned attendant looked nervous. "No problem, Captain Hayes. It's just that the way your team trains is very unusual. I have never seen warriors deliberately put themselves in danger to protect others. In most species, the strong survive and the weak are left behind. It is the way of nature." "It's not our way," Lisa said simply. "In the human military, we have a saying, 'No one gets left behind.' Ever." She didn't realize that her words were being picked up by translation devices and broadcast throughout the training grounds. She didn't know that right at that moment, her simple statement was being heard by thousands of alien warriors who had never considered such a concept. The training session continued. Lisa ran her team through every drill she could think of. She showed them working together to overcome obstacles too big for any individual. She demonstrated how humans use tactics and strategy to make up for physical limitations. She proved that a coordinated team could accomplish things that even the strongest individual could not. By the end of the session, several hundred alien warriors were watching in. The second day on Arcturus Prime started early. Lisa woke her team before the artificial dawn, knowing they needed extra time to prepare. Today would be crucial. The opening ceremonies were scheduled for midday, and after that, the tournament brackets would be announced. But first, they had one more chance to train in public, and Lisa intended to make it count. "Listen up," she said as the team gathered in their quarters. "Yesterday we showed them the basics. Today we show them what those basics can do. I want full combat simulations, live ammunition exercises with safety protocols and tactical scenarios. Make them understand that we're not here to play games." Amy raised her hand. "Captain, do you think they're taking us seriously yet?" Lisa considered the question. "Some are. I saw it in their eyes yesterday, but most still think we're going to be easy targets. Today we changed that. They arrived at the training grounds to find it already crowded. Word had spread about the humans and their unusual methods. Warriors from dozens of species were there, some pretending to do their own training while watching the humans out of the corners of their eyes. Others made no pretense and simply stood and stared. Lisa spotted historian Zenmark in the crowd, the old four-armed scholar who had been watching yesterday. He was surrounded by younger beings who appeared to be students, all of them holding data pads and recording devices. The sight made Lisa nervous, but she pushed the feeling aside. "Ryan," she called, "set up the breach scenario." Ryan grinned and jogged off with 3 others. They quickly assembled a mock building entrance using training equipment. It was a simple structure, but it would serve their purpose. While they worked, Lisa noticed General Vorthrax had arrived. The massive Crithian stood at the edge of the grounds, his arms crossed, his face unreadable. Good. She wanted him to watch this. "All right, team," Lisa announced loudly enough for the nearby aliens to hear. "We've got a hostage situation. Enemy combatants inside a fortified position. Civilians in danger. Standard breach and clear. Amy, you've got overwatch. Danny, you're on point. Ben, coordinate. Ryan, you know what to do." The team moved into position. Amy climbed to an elevated platform that gave her a clear view of the entire scenario. She settled in with her rifle, her breathing already slowing into the steady rhythm of a sniper preparing for a shot. Danny gathered a 4-person team near the entrance, each of them checking their weapons and equipment. Ryan pulled out what looked like a small clay block. Several aliens nearby made sounds of alarm, but Kira quickly assured them it was a training explosive with no actual danger. The demolitions expert shaped the charge with practiced hands and placed it against the mock door. "Breach in 3, 2, 1, Danny counted down. The charge went off with a loud crack. Even though it was just a training device, the sound and flash were impressive. The door blew inward and Danny's team moved immediately. They flowed through the entrance like water, each person covering a different angle, no one blocking another's line of fire. Inside, training dummies were set up to represent hostiles and hostages. The team identified targets in seconds, called out positions to each other, and executed their movements with precision that made it look effortless. Hostile left. "Second floor." Amy's voice came over their communication system. "Confirmed." "Taking the shot," one of Danny's team responded. The training weapon fired with a soft pop, marking the dummy with a paint round. 2 hostiles moving toward civilian positions, Ben called from his coordination spot outside. "We see them. Moving to intercept," Danny replied. The entire exercise took less than 2 minutes. When it was over, all hostile dummies were marked. All civilian dummies were untouched, and every member of the team had made it through without taking a single hit. The watching aliens were completely silent. Lisa let that silence hang for a moment before calling out. "Again. But this time, Danny, you're hit in the initial breach. Your team has to adapt." They reset the scenario. This time, when they breached, Danny immediately dropped to the ground and went still, simulating being wounded. The team barely hesitated. The second in command, a corporal named Steve Grant, took over instantly. He called out new positions, adjusted the entry pattern, and had 2 people grab Danny and pull him to safety while the others cleared the building. It was messier than the first run. Took longer, but they still completed the objective, and they did it while protecting their wounded teammate. Lisa glanced at the crowd and saw something she hadn't expected. Some of the alien warriors looked confused, yes, but others looked thoughtful. A few were even taking notes. "Captain Hayes," a voice called out. It was historian Zenmark stepping forward from the crowd. "May I ask a question?" "Of course," Lisa said. The old scholar gestured at the training area with one of his 4 hands. "In your scenario, the wounded warrior had to be carried to safety. This slowed down your team and put additional warriors at risk. In Crithian doctrine, in Thorian doctrine, in most species military thinking, the wounded warrior would be left until the objective was secured. Why do you risk the mission to save one individual?" Lisa had been expecting this question. She'd been thinking about the answer since yesterday. "Because that individual isn't just one person," she said slowly, making sure everyone could hear. "That individual is someone's brother, someone's friend, someone's teammate. If we leave them behind, we lose more than just a warrior. We lose trust. We lose cohesion. We lose the thing that makes us strong in the first place," she pointed at her team. "Every single person here knows that if they fall, their team will come for them. That knowledge, that trust, it makes them braver. It makes them fight harder. They're not fighting just for themselves or for glory. They're fighting for each other, and that makes them unstoppable. Zenmark tilted his head, his expression thoughtful. Fascinating. You have taken what most species consider a weakness, emotional attachment, and turned it into a tactical advantage. The loyalty you describe, it increases combat effectiveness even though it seems counterintuitive. Exactly, Lisa said. She was warming to the subject now. Look, we're not the strongest species here. We don't have natural armor or enhanced strength. We don't have acid blood or razor-sharp claws. What we have is each other, and we've learned that working together, truly together, makes us more than the sum of our parts. Another voice spoke up. It was Korvan, the young Crethean from yesterday. But what about honor? In my culture, a warrior who cannot save himself brings shame to his clan. We have a different kind of honor, Lisa replied. In our military, the greatest honor comes from bringing your team home alive. The best warriors aren't the ones who get the most kills or win the most glory. They're the ones who make sure everyone makes it back. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some aliens were nodding. Others were shaking their heads or making gestures that probably meant the same thing. The concept was clearly challenging everything they'd been taught. General Vorthrak stepped forward. The crowd parted for him like water. He walked up to Lisa and she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Up close, he was even more intimidating than on the view screen. His scales looked like armor and she could see old scars crisscrossing his arms and chest. Captain Hayes, Vorthrak said, his voice deep enough to feel in her chest. I have been a warrior for 70 years. I have conquered 14 worlds. I have never been defeated in single combat. Everything you are saying goes against everything I have learned. Everything my people believe. He paused and Lisa waited, her heart pounding. And yet, Vorthrax continued, I cannot deny what I saw just now. Your team moved with a precision that my best warriors cannot match. They adapted to injury without panic. They protected their weak while completing their mission. This should not be possible. But it is. He turned to address the entire crowd. I am going to say something I never thought I would say. We have been doing this wrong. The reaction was immediate. Dozens of aliens started talking at once, some shouting in disagreement, others demanding explanation. Vorthrax raised his hand and the noise died down. For thousands of years, we have celebrated individual strength above all else, the general said. We have taught our warriors to be self-reliant, to seek personal glory, and we have won many battles this way. But we have also lost warriors, good warriors, who could have been saved if we had fought the way these humans fight. He looked back at Lisa. You have given me much to think about, Captain Hayes. When the tournament begins tomorrow, I will be watching very carefully. As Vorthrax walked away, Lisa felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Danny grinning widely. Boss, I think you just blew their minds, he said quietly. Maybe, Lisa replied. But talk is cheap. Tomorrow we have to prove it in actual combat. The rest of the training session was different. More aliens approached, asking questions about human tactics. Some were skeptical, even hostile, but others were genuinely curious. Lisa and her team spent hours demonstrating techniques, explaining concepts, showing how trust and teamwork could overcome raw strength. By the time they finished, the training grounds were packed with observers. Lisa estimated at least 1,000 aliens had watched their session, and the conversation she could hear around her suggested that the morning of the tournament arrived with the sound of drums. Not human drums, but something deeper, something that resonated in the chest and made the air vibrate. Lisa woke her team 2 hours before their scheduled match time. They needed to be ready, physically and mentally, for what was coming. The opening ceremony was unlike anything any human had ever seen. The main arena was packed with spectators, hundreds of thousands of aliens from across the galaxy. The noise was overwhelming, a mixture of cheers, roars, clicks, and sounds that had no human equivalent. Giant screens floated above the arena, showing close-ups of various warriors as they were introduced. The humans were introduced last. As they walked onto the arena floor, a hush fell over part of the crowd. Then someone started laughing. The laughter spread. Soon, thousands of aliens were making sounds of amusement. Lisa kept her face neutral and her team in formation. Let them laugh. They'd see soon enough. The tournament master was a being that looked like it was made of living metal, tall and imposing. It spoke in a voice that boomed across the arena, translated instantly into every language. Warriors of the galaxy, welcome to the Grand War Games. For 3,000 years we have gathered here to test our strength, to prove our worth, to honor our traditions. This year we have a new species joining us. The humans newly arrived to the galactic community have requested the honor of competing. Let us see what they are made of. The crowd roared. Lisa glanced at the giant screens and saw their first opponents being displayed. Her stomach dropped. The Thorian berserkers, the bear-like warriors she'd seen in the training videos. 3 of them, each easily 9 feet tall and probably weighing close to 1,000 pounds. Their fur was thick and dark. Their claws were the size of knives, and their eyes held a hunger that made Lisa's skin crawl. Well, Danny said quietly beside her, at least they're giving us a warm-up match. Despite everything, Lisa almost smiled. Leave it to Danny to find humor in facing certain doom. The teams were given 30 minutes to prepare and strategize. Lisa gathered her squad in the preparation area, a small room beneath the arena where they could see their opponents on screens. All right, listen up, Lisa said, pulling up a tactical display. They're big, they're strong, and they're probably expecting us to panic and run. We're not going to give them that satisfaction. Amy, I need you in a sniper position. Find the highest ground you can. Danny, you take point with close combat team. Ryan, I want traps set up in 3 locations. Ben, coordinate everyone. I'll be mobile support. What's the actual plan? Steve asked. Because charging at them seems like a bad idea. The plan is to make them chase us, Lisa said. The arena is big, almost a mile across. It's got terrain, obstacles, cover. We use all of it. We don't fight them head on. We hit them from range, fall back, hit them again. We bleed them, tire them out, and we do not let them get close to us. And if they do get close? Ryan asked nervously. Then we protect each other and we adapt, Lisa said firmly. Remember your training. Remember that you're not alone out there. We do this together. The 30 minutes passed too quickly. Before Lisa was ready, they were being called to the arena entrance. She took a deep breath and looked at her team. This is it, she said. Show them what humans can do. And remember, no matter what happens out there, we bring each other home. Understood? Yes, ma'am, they shouted back. The arena doors opened and they walked out into the light and noise. The Thorian berserkers were already there, standing in the center of the arena, roaring at the crowd. When they saw the humans, they roared louder, the sound making the ground shake. The tournament master's voice boomed. Let the match begin. The berserkers charged immediately, moving with terrifying speed for creatures their size. But Lisa's team was already moving, splitting into their assigned groups and heading for different parts of the arena. Amy sprinted for a rocky outcropping that would give her elevation and sight lines. Danny's close combat team moved toward a forest section. Ryan and his demolitions crew headed for a ruined building structure. Lisa stayed in the open with Ben, watching everything, ready to respond where needed. The berserkers realized the humans weren't standing to fight and change direction, all 3 of them focusing on Amy's group since they were closest. That was a mistake. Amy, they're coming for you, Lisa said into her comm. I see them, Amy replied, her voice calm. She reached her position and dropped into a prone shooting stance. Her rifle came up and she took a breath. The first berserker was maybe 100 yards away and closing fast. Amy fired. The shot was perfect. It hit the lead berserker right in the eye. The creature roared in pain and stumbled, pawing at its face. It wasn't a killing blow, but it slowed the beast down. Beautiful shot, Ben said. Ryan, they're heading your way now. The berserkers had changed direction again, angry and confused. They charged toward where Ryan's team had been setting up. But the humans were already gone, having fallen back the moment Amy fired. What remained were 3 carefully placed explosive charges. Ryan waited until all 3 berserkers were in the kill zone. Then he pressed the detonator. The explosions weren't huge, they were training charges after all. But they were loud and bright, and more importantly, they knocked loose a pile of rocks and debris that had been carefully arranged. The rock slide crashed down on top of the berserkers, burying one of them completely and trapping another's leg. The crowd went wild. They clearly hadn't expected the humans to land any effective attacks at all. But the fight wasn't over. The uninjured berserker and the one with the hurt eye were still mobile, and now they were angry. They abandoned any pretense of strategy and just charged toward the nearest group of humans, which happened to be Danny's close combat team. Danny, incoming, Lisa called. We're ready, Danny replied. What happened next would be replayed on Galactic news networks for weeks. Danny's team didn't run. They formed up into a tight defensive position at the edge of the forest area. As the two berserkers charged, the humans opened fire with their rifles. The shots weren't powerful enough to seriously hurt the massive creatures, but they struck with precision, hitting eyes, ears, joints, anywhere that might be sensitive. The berserkers were 20 feet away when Danny gave the order. Now, the team split, diving left and right. The berserkers, moving too fast to stop, crashed into the trees where the humans had been standing. But these weren't natural trees, they were obstacles placed by the arena designers, strong enough to stop even a berserker. The creatures hit hard and went down, tangled in the artificial vegetation. Danny's team immediately moved back in, not to finish the fight, but to regroup and prepare for the next move. Third berserker is digging itself out, Ben reported. Amy, you have a shot? Negative, too much debris in the way, Amy replied. Lisa made a decision. All teams converge on the trapped one. We take it out while it's immobile. The entire human team moved as one, flowing across the arena toward where the third berserker was still half buried under rocks. The other two were getting up, shaking off their collision with the trees. This would be close. Lisa's team reached the trapped berserker first. It snarled and tried to grab them with its massive paws, but it couldn't get leverage while buried. Amy lined up a shot and fired 3 times in quick succession, each shot hitting the same spot on the creature's thick skull. It wasn't enough to knock it out, but it dazed it badly. Move, Lisa shouted as she saw the other 2 berserkers charging across the arena. Her team scattered just as the massive creatures arrived. Now came the hard part. 2 fully mobile, very angry berserkers against 25 humans in an open area. This was what Lisa had been dreading. One of the berserkers swung its massive paw at Ryan, who was too slow getting clear. The blow caught him in the side and sent him flying 10 feet. He hit the ground hard and didn't get up. Ryan's down, someone shouted. Steve, Kevin, get him! Lisa ordered, and 2 Marines immediately broke from the group and ran to Ryan's position. They grabbed him under the arms and started dragging him toward cover. That's when the berserker charged at them. It saw vulnerable prey and went for them with single-minded focus. Steve and Kevin couldn't move fast enough while carrying Ryan. The massive creature was going to catch them. Danny didn't hesitate. He ran directly at the berserker, putting himself between the creature and his teammates. The berserker saw him and swung. Danny ducked under the blow, probably more from luck than skill, and drove his combat knife into the creature's leg. It wasn't a deep wound, but it got the berserker's attention. The creature roared and focused on Danny, forgetting about the other humans. That gave Steve and Kevin time to get Ryan to safety, but now Danny was in trouble. He was too close and the berserker was too fast. It grabbed him with both paws and lifted him off the ground. Danny struggled, but it was like fighting against a steel vise. Concentrated fire on the one holding Danny. Lisa shouted, Everyone now! Every human with a weapon opened fire at the same moment. 20 rifles firing at the same target. The shots peppered the berserker's chest, arms, and face. Individually, they weren't doing much damage. Together, they were like being stung by a swarm of bees. The berserker roared and dropped Danny, raising its arms to protect its. The victory over the Thorian berserkers changed everything. Within hours, the entire galaxy knew what had happened. The footage spread across communication networks like wildfire. A species that had just discovered faster-than-light travel had defeated warriors that had been feared for centuries, and they'd done it in a way that no one had seen before. Lisa's team had 2 days before their next match. The tournament structure gave them time to rest and recover. Ryan's ribs were badly bruised but not broken, and the other injured Marines were healing well. But it wasn't the physical recovery that Lisa focused on. It was the mental preparation. Our next opponents are the Velkari, Ben said, pulling up information on their data pads. Insectoid species. Fast, coordinated, and they have acid blood. Cut one and you risk getting burned. Lisa studied the images. The Velkari looked like giant praying mantises, about 7 feet tall with 4 arms each ending in blade-like appendages. Their exoskeletons were dark green and looked thick enough to stop bullets. They're also telepathic with each other. Ben continued. They share a hive mind. That means they actually do coordinate their attacks, unlike most species here. So we're not the only ones who work as a team, Amy observed. No, Lisa agreed. Which means we need to be smarter, not just more coordinated. Ryan, start thinking about traps that can work against acidic blood. Amy, we need precise shots that can crack that exoskeleton without getting too close. Danny, close combat is going to be dangerous against these things. But before they could plan further, Kira appeared at their door. Captain Hayes, you have visitors. Several delegations are requesting to speak with you. Lisa was surprised. Delegations? For what? They want to learn, Kira said, and there was something like amazement in her voice. They want to understand how you fight. The first visitors were a group of younger warriors from various species. They included Corvan, the young Crithian who had asked questions during training. They stood nervously in the doorway until Lisa invited them in. Captain Hayes, Corvan said, his translator making his voice sound formal. We watched your match against the Thorians. It was like nothing we have ever seen. You were weaker, slower, but you won. We want to understand how. Lisa looked at her team, then back at the aliens. It's not complicated. We trust each other. When one of us is in danger, the others help. When we attack, we do it together. When we defend, we protect each other. A Velkari warrior, smaller than the ones they'd face in the arena, stepped forward. Its translator gave it a clicking, mechanical voice. But this is inefficient. When you stopped to help your wounded, you gave up tactical advantage. You could have finished the fight faster if you had left them. Maybe, Lisa said. But then what would we have won? The match, sure. But we would have lost something more important. We would have lost the trust that makes us strong. The aliens looked confused. Lisa tried a different approach. Let me ask you something. When you fight, do you worry about getting hurt? Several of them nodded or made equivalent gestures. And does that fear make you hesitate? Make you hold back? More nods. Now imagine you knew, absolutely knew, that if you fell, your teammates would come for you. No matter what. No matter the risk. Imagine knowing that you would never be left behind. Would you still be afraid? Less afraid, Corvan said slowly. Because I would know I was not alone. Exactly, Lisa said. That's what we have. That's our advantage. Every human out there knows that their team will die before they abandon them. So they fight without that fear. They take risks they wouldn't normally take because they know they're protected, and that makes us stronger than we should be. The young warriors talked among themselves in their various languages. Lisa could see them processing this new idea, testing it against everything they'd been taught. Over the next 2 days, more visitors came. Senior military officers who wanted to understand human tactics. Historians who recorded everything Lisa said. Even a few politicians who saw potential in the human approach. But the most important visit came on the evening before their match against the Velkari. General Vorthrax arrived alone, without guards or attendants. He looked uncomfortable, which was strange to see on such a large and imposing figure. Captain Hayes, he said, I would speak with you privately if you permit. Lisa led him to a small observation room overlooking the arena. For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching work crews prepare for tomorrow's matches. I have been a soldier for 70 years, Vorthrax finally said. I have won every battle I have fought. I have commanded armies that conquered worlds. I believed I understood warfare completely. He turned to look at Lisa. You have shown me that I was wrong. Lisa didn't know what to say, so she stayed quiet. In my culture, Vorthrax continued, we honor individual strength above all else. A warrior who cannot stand alone is considered weak. We teach our soldiers to rely on themselves, to seek personal glory. It has served us well for thousands of years. But, Lisa prompted. But I have been reviewing battle reports from our last war. We lost 8,000 warriors, and as I read through each report, I realized something terrible. 3,000 of those deaths could have been prevented if we had fought the way you fight, if we had protected each other instead of seeking individual glory. His voice was heavy with something that might have been grief. 3,000 warriors died because I taught them wrong, because we all taught them wrong. You didn't know, Lisa said quietly. How could you? You did what you thought was right. That is no excuse, Vorthrax said, but it is a reason to change. Captain Hayes, I have a request. When you return to Earth, whenever that may be, I would like to send Crithian officers to train with your military. I want them to learn this new way of fighting. I want to make sure that no more warriors die needlessly because we were too proud to see a better path. Lisa felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about winning matches or proving a point. This was about actually changing galactic military culture. General, it would be an honor to train with your warriors, she said. But I have one condition. Name it. You have to believe it. Really believe it. Not just copy our tactics, but understand the philosophy behind them. Trust, loyalty, teamwork. These aren't just words. They're the foundation of everything we do. If your warriors don't believe in those principles, the tactics won't work. Vorthrax nodded slowly. I understand. And I do believe you have shown me the truth. Now I must convince my people. The next morning, Lisa's team faced the Velkari. The match was different from the first one. The insectoid warriors did work together, sharing information through their hive mind, coordinating their attacks with precision. They were fast, deadly, and their acid blood made every injury to them a potential danger to nearby humans. But the humans adapted. Amy found weak points in the exoskeleton where her shots could crack through. Ryan created traps that used the Velkari's own acid against them. Danny's team perfected hit-and-run tactics that never gave the insectoids time to pin them down. And most importantly, when things went wrong, when 2 Marines got cornered by 3 Velkari warriors, the entire team shifted their strategy to rescue them. They gave up advantageous positions, took risks they shouldn't have taken, all to bring their teammates to safety. The Velkari Queen, watching from her command position, saw this and made a decision that shocked everyone. She ordered her warriors to stand down and formally conceded the match. You have already won, she said through her translator, addressing Lisa directly, not because you defeated my warriors, but because you demonstrated something more important than victory. You demonstrated honor. In our culture, the hive protects itself at all costs. Today you showed that your hive, your team, does the same. We recognize this. We respect this. The match is yours. The crowd went wild. A formal concession was rare. It meant the Velkari acknowledged not just defeat, but that they had been outclassed in a fundamental way. The tournament continued. The humans advanced through each round, not always easily, sometimes barely surviving. They lost 2 matches but won 6. With each victory, more of the galaxy watched. With each match, more aliens began to question their own military doctrines. The semi-finals brought them face-to-face with the Crithians. General Vorthrax had personally selected his best warriors, and he had given them a simple order. Study the humans, learn from them, and prove that we can adapt. The match was brutal. The Crithians were powerful, experienced, and for the first time they were working together. They'd watched all of the human matches. They'd learned from them. They copied human tactics, used coordinated assaults, even tried to protect their wounded. It almost worked. The fight lasted nearly an hour, longer than any other match in the tournament. Both teams were exhausted, injured, bleeding, and then came the moment that would be remembered forever. Danny took a severe hit protecting Lisa from a Crithian charge. The blow caught him in the chest and he went down hard, unconscious before he hit the ground. The Crithian warrior stood over him, ready to finish the fight. Lisa screamed and charged without thinking. She had no chance of winning a hand-to-hand fight with a Crithian. Everyone knew it, but she didn't care. That was her teammate, her friend, and she would die before she left him.